Do you feel hurt by politicians in your country? A lot of young people are disillusioned with their governments. Some of them even questioning the entire concept of democracy. And no age group votes as infrequently as ours. But that reluctance disappears as soon as populists step up to the pulpit. In this video, I'll explain why young Europeans are so drawn to populists and why that's a problem. Let's start with the basics. What exactly is populism? The definition is hotly debated among political scientists. Populism doesn't correspond to one political ideology. There's both right and left-wing populism. What's certain is that populists rely on rhetorics and charisma and present themselves as harbingers of change. Their speciality, criticizing elites. They claim to speak for the pure people who are supposedly oppressed by a corrupt elite. Beyond that, they often frame minorities such as migrants as a threat. In turn, populists often claim to offer simple solutions to socio-political problems. In Europe, there's both right-wing and left-wing populist parties. All of them tend to criticize the European Union. Right-wing populist parties oppose migration and want to uphold traditional Christian values. Left-wing populist parties talk a lot about redistribution and equality. But what makes populist parties so appealing to young voters? First, a few things about Germany. Here, the strongest populist party is the far-right AfD. In the last federal elections, they didn't do very well with young voters. But that's not the case in all parts of Germany. In the last state elections in Saxony-Anhalt, the AfD got more votes by people under 30 than any other party. Especially in Eastern Germany, a lot of people feel left behind by the political class. Another interesting tidbit, the AfD makes the best use of social media. On YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and recently TikTok, the far-right party's online presence is the strongest by a long shot, which also helps them reach young people. What is the case in other countries? I asked some of my colleagues.
En France, le parti populiste historique, c'est le Rassemblement national porté par Marine Le Pen. On dit souvent qu'il est le premier parti des jeunes. En fait, les 18-24 ans ont plutôt voté Mélenchon à l'extrême gauche ou Macron en 2017. Mais chez les 25-34 ans, le vote RN est bien majoritaire. Ce sont des jeunes qui sont sur le marché de l'emploi, qui sont pleins de désillusions et qui espèrent que ce vote changera quelque chose.
Wyborcy od 18 do 29 roku życia w Polsce są podzieleni. W 2019 roku w wyborach parlamentarnych Konfederacja, która jak ula pasuje do definicji partii populistycznej, zdobyła 20% głosów młodych. Prawo i Sprawiedliwość, którego populistyczny charakter jest bardziej skomplikowany, 26%. Od lat do Konfederacji młodych przyciągają wolnościowy charakter, tak bliski osobom, które właśnie wkroczyły w pełnoletność, brak kompromisów i wyrazisty charakter.
La ultimele alegeri parlamentare care au avut loc în decembrie 2020, surpriza a venit de la un partid care se promovează ca fiind antisistem, Alianța pentru Unirea Românilor. Promovând mesaje naționaliste, antimască, fundamentalist creștine sau homofobe, AUR are mai bine de o treime dintre votanții săi tineri cu vârste cuprinse între 18 și 30 de ani. Cu agresivitate care a ajuns până în Parlament, dar și cu o prezență puternică pe rețelele de socializare, AUR vorbește pe înțelesul celor mulți. Profitând de neîncrederea în celelalte partide politice și în plină pandemie de COVID, AUR a reușit să adune în bazinul său electoral alegători care nu se simțeau reprezentați de către celelalte partide politice.
Addressing topics like youth unemployment, social inequality, and general distrust with politicians is what allows populists to win over the youth. In Germany's 2021 federal election, 1 out of 5 voters was older than 69. Many young people feel that politics are made for the older generation and that nothing really changes. When populists address long-standing issues and fight inequality and corruption, that sounds like a good thing, right? Well, it depends. Studies have shown that if populist governments aren't able to deliver the substantive changes that they promised, support for them among young people stagnates at first and then decreases after a few years. It's also been shown that once their support starts declining, populists tend to hollow out democratic institutions and the law. Another problem is that especially right-wing populists not only aim at their political opponents, but also at minorities and other vulnerable members of society. Not only does that widen divisions in society, but inflammatory rhetorics of politicians and in the media can also increase hate crime and right-wing violence. What about you? Do you feel like there's division in our society? Tell us in the comments.